So then guys, it's a really, really exciting part of the koi season for me anyway. But I want to try to make it a really exciting time of the koi season for you guys as well, because I realise a lot of you guys, sorry I got a bit of stencil stuff there from work, but a lot of you guys out there have amazing ponds and amazing koi. And I think a lot of you out there would like to show your koi in koi shows. Now, this is just going to be a bit of a talking introduction how to show your fish in local shows and even in the national koi show, because believe it or not, if old Muggins here can do it, I'm sure you can do it. Do you know what I mean? And you don't have, I just want to explain that you don't have to spend the world on koi, and you don't have to fill up your vat if you haven't got enough quality koi to be able to compete, because it's really important for the koi industry, I believe, to get people like yourselves involved in these koi shows. That will turn the hobby around. The more people would want a show, the bigger the koi shows are, and possibly more koi shows will arise from that, you know, that fact that there's more people in the hobby willing to go and show fish. Now I realise not everybody wants to show fish, and not everyone is very competitive, but you know what, if you love the hobby and you've got beautiful fish and you take pride in them, well, there's nothing wrong with showing your fish. And I realise there's probably a lot of people out there that are actually scared to transport their fish to a vat that you don't really know what the water quality is like. But let me tell you now guys, these people that run these shows that are attached to the BKKS, they certainly know what they're doing, and they have experts there from the BKKS which will take care of the water, and they've got fish vets there, fish doctors there to look after problems with koi as well. So these shows aren't taken lightly, and your koi are well looked after there. So what I want to do is talk through how you can actually enter your koi into a koi show. So I done it for the first time last year, and the first koi show I actually entered was the koi show that I'm going to next week. So next week is the National Koi Show, and I'm absolutely buzzing for it. Last year I was really panicking. This year I ain't panicking so much, and the things I was panicking about last year are stupid little, like, are my fish going to be good enough quality? Are people going to laugh at my selections? Am I going to be able to transport the fish to the shows correctly? Do I know the right terminology? And also, a massive part for me was I'm not very good when it comes to tech, as in like internet stuff and all that. And I found the online benching process a little bit of a challenge, to be honest. I got my head around it because I had someone from the BKKS on the other side actually emailing me back because I think I had a problem with one of the portholes or something. And to be honest, I'm having a little problem with booking in the fish again this year, but I'm a little bit more experienced and I realise now how the system works. You've got to take some time and do it properly, and that's it. So how do you enter your fish into a koi show, and would you want to, and what is the benefits of that? So you definitely should if you want to, for a start. Why would you do it? I don't know, because there's nothing else to do on that particular weekend, or it gives you a point. Now when I used to train a lot, I used to do triathlon for the British Army and all this kind of stuff, and I used to use certain dates in the future as like little pinpricks, and everything leads up to that one date. Now it's real fun for me trying to condition my koi. So you've got different dates. I've got this date, and I'm also doing the Newark koi show, and that's all I'm doing this year, right? So but these different dates are a little landmark in time in the future where you condition your koi up to, and that's really interesting alone. Just learning how to condition your koi, learning how to get the volume on your koi for the right time of the year, trying to condition the Benny, the red in the koi, trying to condition the Suroji, the white in the koi, and then also trying to condition the Sumi, the black in the koi. And also, like I said, you've got to try to get everything to work correctly, so at the day of that show or the weekend of that show, your koi is as good as you can possibly get them. So really, entering a koi show is a year in the making, I would say. Do you know what I mean? Or at least a good few months, at least a quarter. But obviously, do you know what I mean? As long as your pond is performing properly and you're feeding good food, the koi are gonna do it themselves, basically. But again, little things that people will tell you, that's experience, that you know, you try to get as much volume on your fish as you can, because remember, for the last 5 days, 5 to 7 days, you don't feed the koi to clear them out, and obviously they're going to lose a little bit of volume and stuff like that. So, and also like conditioning the skin and the different colors of the koi, especially if you've got different varieties in there as well, because obviously the first thing you do to condition a koi, I've been told, is the Benny, the red in the koi. So you feed a mixture of high protein food and some colored food, so which has got like different ingredients which will enhance the red or the Benny of the koi. Then obviously that's going to stain and maybe you know, dirty up the Suroji of the koi, which is the white of the koi. So a month before the show, you would switch food and you'd go on to a pure white food mixed in again with a high growth, because you want to keep the body of the koi, but you want to try to get the stain in from the colour food out of that Suroji and enhance it as much as you can. Now I realise for people like me and most people, that element of polishing off the Suroji and the Benny might be minute in our eyes, but to a trained judge, it's the difference between first and second, third and fourth, you know, or, you know, just not placing at all. And then obviously once you've done the conditioned the white, the Suroji, then you've got to concentrate on the Sumi. Now the Sumi will normally pop up a little bit more with a higher KH, I've been told, and also when you drop the water. So you have to drop the temperature 2 or 3 weeks before a show, so you can match the vat that you go into, and also that temperature drop will make the Sumi come to the surface and solidify a little bit more, which obviously is the last pinnacle of conditioning your fish. And some people also sometimes they do a PP treatment a few days before the show, just to strip back the mucus layer, just so you can get the true color with no inhibiting factors, i.e. the mucus, over the top of the Benny, Suroji and Sumi. Okay, I'm not sure if everyone does that, but that's what I've been told some people do. So anyway, how do you enter the show? Right, so the shows are reasonably easy to enter, believe it or not. There's limited spaces, so you've got to be pretty much on the pulse. Watch social media, and we find out when the National Koi Show is opening their VAT purchases, I guess. I'm not sure how many VATs are in the National this year, but probably about between 50 and 60, I guess. Okay, so they've got two different size VATs. I think they've got a 2.5 and they've got a 2.8 meter VAT. Okay, each VAT has got a different number value for the volume of the water in there. So for instance, if I had large fish, so let's just say we had fish between 65 and 75 cm, that would go into a certain size category. I think that may be size 5 or size 4, I can't remember. But a fish in size 4 would have a certain amount of points allocated to the volume of that fish when it goes into your vat. So I think off the top of my head, maybe that would be 6 points, let's just say. So a 2.8 meter vat has got a maximum, I think, of 51 points, there or thereabouts. So when you enter a fish into, let's just say, size 1, which is 15 cm to 25 cm, that's 1 point, all right? but you can put 51 fish in there because you have a maximum amount of fish of, I believe it's 17 in a 2.8 meter vat. Okay, so therefore in my vat, for instance, I have fish from size 1 to size 4, I think. Okay, so they range from 15 cm to 65 cm. So these bad boys are growing. Next year I might have fish in 65 to 75 cm. Okay, so you could put like maybe 50 to 70 cm fish into the vat, or you could put 17 between 1 and size 1 and size 5 into a vat. But as soon as you hit your maximum point allowance, you can't enter any more fish. And how we enter fish is, so like I said, it's not as complicated probably as I'm making it. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is book your vat. So you need to be on the pulse and you need to book your vat. You pick your 2.5 meter or your 2.8 meter. Now, I believe if people have done the show before, they get the first refusal. Once those people have entered, and then let's just say I don't want to do it this year, there's going to be a vat available for the next people to come through and buy it and rent a vat basically. Once you've done that, this normally happens like January, February, about February time, I guess, something like that, February or March time. So then you pretty much forget about it. You get emails from the BKKS telling you like little update of what's going on. But things get really exciting about 2 weeks out from the show. Now this started to get exciting for me last week, because not only am I conditioning the fish, okay, and bear in mind fish are livestock, they bump themselves, they rip fins, they throw a scale, anything can happen to these fish. Now I have had a problem with one of my starfish that I did want to take to the show. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be Grace in the vat in the national, but hey ho, keep your head high. That might sort itself out and rectify itself, ready for the Newark show. So it's not all bad, do you know what I mean? Sometimes you've just got to take the good with the bad, and that's how it is. So you book your vat. The week before, the BKKS will send you out an email saying, congratulations, this is going on, you are entered into the show, it is time to bench your fish online. So what happens is you go onto your portal. So the BKKS will give you a little tiny domain on their site just for me. So you sign into it, log into it, and then there's a dashboard. And on the dashboard it's got various different things. What I'll do is I'll do a screen recording messing around with my dashboard in a minute, and you'll be able to see what I see when I book things in. So then what you got to do is online bench your koi. So the BKKS, before you even get there on the Friday, before the Saturday and the Sunday of the show, you put your fish in and they know what's coming. So it makes their job a lot easier, because there's about 60 vats in the National Koi Show. And trust me, the BKKS, they run around like headless chickens. They graft all day long, okay? It's not an easy time for them. But the show has been getting made. I think the show's starting to get made now, and this is a week before the show. So there's a lot of admin going on, but actually benching the fish happens on the Friday before the show, so the Saturday and the Sunday. And what happens is you predominantly book in your fish and you bench them online. And what that entails is measuring your koi, taking a picture of your koi, entering all the information, i.e. size, category, breeder, where you've sourced these from, i.e. what dealership they've come from, they're male or female, variety, so on so forth, and then a little picture, a little mugshot of your koi. Because what will happen when you go there on the Friday, you'll have a piece of paper by the side of your vat, and those pictures that you take will be on that piece of paper, okay? And they'll have all the information on there, minus your name, if you know what I mean, because I think it's meant to be a little bit secret. But with social media these days, most people know whose fish are whose. Like, for instance, Ian Jenkins is there, or Chip is there, you know they're going to win GC probably, because they've got fish of 90 to 100 cm. So those fish don't come around every day. A Kawaku has got a fingerprint of a pattern that is unique to it. So obviously these fish are well known. They're as well known to koi judges as red rum is to a jockey, okay? So from there, you book on your fish, your allocated pointage. Now you don't have to use all your points. So if you're a novice and you want to enter this and you believe you've only got about 3 or 4 fish that are worth taking, that's absolutely fine. If you only use half your points, you use half your points. There's no point taking fish for taking fish, okay? So if you don't think they've got a chance, then don't take them. But most fish might well stand a chance, especially if they've got good bloodline, good genetics, and you've looked after them well, your husbandry is on point, you're on heat, and you've got good food. Chances are you've got a good fish, okay? So don't be put off if you haven't got a full vat of fish, because I didn't have a full vat of fish last year. However, I done quite well. I won some best in size and varieties and all that kind of stuff. So I done really well. I was really happy last year, and I done way better than I thought I was going to, okay? So really, really happy. So the next thing you do, you've benched your fish. So then you just forget about it, but you've got to sort out your admin in your head. So the next thing you need to do is think about transporting your koi to the shows. Now for me, that entails a 4.5 hour drive from here up to the National Koi Show. So in other words, your koi have to be bagged as if they're coming from Japan, whether it be a 48-hour journey or a 4-hour journey. The koi do get bagged the same, and they get prepped the same because it's koi safety. So you have to stop feeding your koi between 5 and 7 days before you go to the National Koi Show, or transport them for any sort of distance. And the reasons are because you need to clear the systems out. So when they're in the bag, they don't poison themselves. Basically, there's not much ammonia coming off them and all that kind of stuff, and they're not soiling in the bags and breathing in their excrement, etc, etc, etc. But also, what you don't want is your beautiful blue vat in the National being absolutely trashed with fish waste. You want it to look as crisp and as nice as possible, because obviously if that water isn't crisp and as nice as the vat next to you, then you're looking through that water at your fish. So that mucus layer that you've got down to a micron, and your fish are looking glowing, the seroji is popping, that is going to be absolutely annihilated by rubbish water. Okay, so that's another good reason. Then you've got to think about your bags. You've got to make sure you've got new bags, good bags, and they're double bagged. You need oxygen, okay? So you can get oxygen. I go to a little place, it's nationwide, called Hobby Weld, and you can go and rent a bottle and fill it up for about 40 or 50 quid, okay? And that bottle is a 9-litre bottle, and trust me, it lasted me all year last year. Even offloading some of my fish to some of my friends, I must have filled 50 bags of oxygen, okay? So it'll last you quite a while. You need boxes. I've got plastic boxes because when I'm not using them for transporting fish, I actually use them just for storing old pipe fittings and all that kind of stuff. So the day of the National, my garage is full of pipe fittings because I've tipped them all out, and I'm utilising those boxes. And they're plastic boxes, they're black, they've got the fold-up lids, and if anything ever happened to the bags, that would still hold fluid, it would still hold the water, worst case scenario. Touch wood, I haven't had a problem. Saying that, we'll see what happens next week. So that's what you want, and you need elastic bands. I am quite partial to a zip tie as well, I'm not going to lie, because putting those elastic bands on the end of a bag is an art. And anyone who's a koi dealer out there, or even when anyone's going to buy a koi from a koi dealer and you see them whipping out and doing that, well, they look like Rain Man because they know what they're doing. It is an absolute art to do it. Take your time, you can do it properly, but you'll never do it as good as a dealer. So the night before you pack up your fish, you've got all your stuff ready. You've got your oxygen, you've got your bags, you've got spare bags, you've got your bands, you've got spare bands, you've got boxes. You don't need spare plastic boxes, but anyway, you've got your boxes. What you do is you check the pond temperature again, okay? Your pond temperature should be sitting about 18 to 16 degrees at this point, okay? If you have an air source heat pump. Heat wave at the moment, my pond normally runs at about 26, 27 degrees at this time of year, but we've chilled down to 18 degrees. A, for the Saroji popping, and B, because the National Koi Show would have freshly filled up their vats the day before, possibly, dechlorinated it, gassed everything off, oxygen is on there, but they're probably sitting at about 18 degrees as well. Now, if you take the fish down there and it's at 20 degrees, you can float them for a little bit and we'll have no problems. But if your fish are at 27 degrees or 25 degrees and you go down there and you find out that vat is at 18 degrees, you can float those fish for as long as you want, but they are not going to be particularly happy. Okay, so going up a little bit in temperature is acceptable. Coming down, realistically, is not very good for the koi. And they are not going to be happy. They're going to be clamped up on the floor and they ain't going to be putting on a show for Alan Tate, right? So that is the main reason why we chill down, and it's for fish safety as well as other factors, I guess, right? Excuse me, the wife just texted me. She's texted me again. But the night before, what you do is you go back into your porthole online, put your login in, and you can check then on your dashboard. There is a little section that says, I believe it says water parameters or vat conditions or something like that. And that is constantly updated almost every hour. These guys are professionals and know exactly what they're doing. There will be no chlorine in there. They'll tell you what the pH is. They'll tell you what the temperature is. And obviously there's not going to be any ammonia or nitrate in there because they are professionals at what they're doing, and they've normally got a trickle in, trickle out. So they've got a decent trickle in. Again, your fish haven't been fed, so when they go into the vat on the Friday, Saturday they get judged, and Sunday then obviously you're taking them home. They should be quite comfortable. I found by the Sunday on the both shows I've done, koi are a little bit upset, but we'll talk about that later on. So you look at your porthole, you look at all the water parameters, all your vat conditions, and they should be favourable with your pond temperature by now. Obviously the pH of the vat up there could vary because I'm at a different, you might be on a different area code in the country, if you know what I mean, because I know my pH down here is like 7.2 up the tap. I believe up in the national it's a little higher, but you know, you can only do what you can do. So that is the day before. Now we're going to talk about the terrifying alarm going off on the day you have to transport your fish up to the national, which is super excited. You wake up, it's like you're going on holiday to Lanzarote or something, because the alarm goes off, beep, 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 beep. You pack your little rucksack, your clothes on, because you're just about to go out for a pint with your mates in that night on the Friday, talking about fish, talking about everything. It's class. And that's another really, really good thing about koi shows, is the networking. You will meet an amazing amount of knowledge with these hobbyists and also professionals. You know, last time I went to Newark last year, I had a meal with a dealer, talking to lots of different people, and trust me, it's a symposium of minds. They all come together and they've got one common enjoyment and love, and that's koi. So you can just talk about koi all night long. It's absolutely fantastic. But what you'll do is you wake up in the morning, you pre-packed your stuff, hopefully your transport stuff is ready, and then we've got to catch the koi and bag them. So this for me normally ends up being about, alarm normally goes off at 5 in the morning, have a bit of breakfast, have some toast, have some tea or some coffee, come down here, all my bags are ready, my oxygen's ready, I've got a net up for fish, and I've got to work out what fish is going in which bag. Now the smaller fish, you could put 2 or 3 into one bag. The bigger fish might well have to travel alone, okay? Now, this is a time which is very, very crucial, because this is the time, if any, you're going to do something wrong with the net and you're going to throw a scale or you're going to split a fin. Now, it's kind of catastrophic, isn't it? Because that fish has been benched. Well, this is the time to be very careful, very cool, very calm, and very calculated, okay? So what we do is we take the koi out, we bag them, oxygenate them, tie it up, put it in your box, and put it in your vehicle. When all the koi are boxed and all the bags are in the vehicle, the main thing you've got to realise when you're shipping koi, the orientation of the box should be from side to side, i.e. port to starboard, okay? They shouldn't travel stern to helm, because if you brake hard, the koi's going to have a sore nose. Worst case scenario, if they're flipped around, they're going to have a broken tail. That's the extreme end of things. So if you can, for the bigger koi, always have them traveling stern to starboard. No, starboard, port to starboard. You can tell I was never in the Navy. I was just thinking of a Hercules aeroplane there. But anyway, that's a good bit of advice. The smaller fish, not so much of a problem because they can move around freely in the thing, so it's not too much of a problem. Then, what my plan is, I ramp up the temperature on my pond straight away. So when my fish come back on the Sunday, they're going up in temperature, because if the vats over the weekend become really hot, like they got to 22, 23, 24 degrees, and then I'm taking the koi back into my pond, which is being chilled to 18 degrees, then, well, we're up a creek without a paddle, aren't we? So that's a massive problem. So before I get into my truck, I got a little checklist. That goes up to about 20 degrees, 22 degrees, okay? Because that's going to benefit the other koi, because they don't have to be suffering no more at 18 degrees. They can get back on the feed. And another thing I do is turn on the auto feeder, okay? So bear in mind, the pond's going to have half the amount of fish in there, so make sure you've got half the amount of feed going in there, because you'll come back and you'll have a load of food just floating over your pond. You're going to come back, your nitrate and your ammonia levels are going to be sky high. There's going to be foam all over your pond. Oh, it's going to be carnage. And then your fish are going from lovely vat water in the BKKS National Koi Show, because they're experts of water, back into literally a quagmire, right? So make sure you do that. That's a really good hint, and that's what I done last year and it worked well. See you on the road. You get up to the Koi Show in the National and they call you in, and by this point you know exactly what number vat you are. So I am vat, I'm not going to tell you because it's a secret, but I know what I am. So I'll drive down to the vat, I'll take the koi off and I'll float them in my vat. Take my vehicle away, say hello to some friends, leave the koi there, settle down, get, you know, equalized to the temperature, and then what we do is we take the koi out, release the koi, monitor the koi, make sure they're not sulking, make sure none's going to jump out of the vat, because I've seen koi jump out of the vat. I think I've seen a meter koi jump out of the vat in Newark and snap its tail. So you've got to be careful, make sure they're happy. Yeah, that's cool. And then on the Friday, what happens is, even though you've done online benching, some koi might well be very, very, very close to a change in size category. Now, how the koi are judged, I am not an expert, but I know that it's body, fins, pec fins, dorsal fins, anal fins, the Seroji, the Benny, and lots and lots of different factors that only a Jedi BKKS judge will be able to tell you in seconds. I got 7 seconds to go all the way up the koi and all the way back, and then I look at that, and then I look at that, and look at scales, and then I look at Seroji. Right, they know what they're doing. They get 7 years training to become a judge, right? So respect them. I don't want anyone talking bad about those judges up in the BKKS, especially Alan, right? So what they do is, and also if you've got a fish, let's just say you want to win Baby Champion, prestigious. You're getting a loaf of bread there, not just a slice or a crumb. That is the loaf, right? Now, Baby Champion is size 1 and 2. They get picked out of those, which is 15 cm to 25 cm, 25 cm to 35 cm. So let's just do size 2. So size 2 is from 25 centimeters to 35 centimeters. Now, that's 10 centimeters, right? That's like 1/3 of the fish from, you know, like from the bottom size. So let's just say I entered a koi that was a kawaku that is 26 centimeters into size 2, and there was another kawaku in there that was size 34 centimeters. They get judged in the same category, but that fish is way bigger. And what can happen is the volume of that bigger koi could way outshine the volume of the smaller koi. Now, that doesn't always happen, because it's the size of the fight in the, no, it's the size of the fight in the dog, not the dog in the fight, all right? Now, I know that because I'm only 5'8", but I'm not talking about fighting. So that's the problem. So what happens is, when I'm entering when you or I enter a kawaku, and we say it's 34.5, it's very close to that line, and they can see that it's quite close to the line. So what they'll do is, before they judge that koi, they'll do benching on the Friday, just to cross the T's and dot the I's, and just to check certain fish are in the right size categories. Now, that's not to say they don't trust you, that's to say they don't probably trust your measure intake. Who knows? But don't feel upset, and don't feel do you know what I mean, let down because they're actually measuring some of your fish. They're probably looking at the fish going, wow, that's an amazing fish, that's got a really good chance of winning size, best in size, so let's measure it now before we've got to do it on Saturday. Do you know what I mean? So that's actually probably a bonus, and you should be quite flattered that they're actually double checking the size of your fish, because if they didn't think it was going to win anything, or they didn't think they have a chance, they'd probably go, that looks like it's over the size category, but it doesn't stand a chance, so don't worry about it. So don't feel bad if they do get their hands wet and get in there and start checking fish, right? So there we are. You've benched your fish. It's Friday afternoon by this time. It's time to have a pint. It's time to have a burger, and it's time to network. And this is the time where you are behind the scenes, because the public are not allowed in on the Friday. So it's worth doing it just to get behind the scenes and rub shoulders with serious hobbyists and also dealers. You also get to look in the vats, so you also get the best pick of all the fish before the doors open on the Saturday. Not that you might not be looking for a fish, but if you are, everyone's always looking for a fish, aren't they? They're always looking for the next GC. So anyway, that's another bonus. You get like an extra day in the show, and trust me, that Friday night is super exciting. Do you know what I mean? You see all the benching, you have a walk around, and it's not busy. You walk around, you've got plenty of time for yourself, and if you're crazy and you've got a duty driver, you can walk around with a can of beer, because you're worth it. So then you normally get to your hotel, or your Airbnb, or your tent, or your camper, right? And you just talk and you network and you have real fun. And this is the fun, and this is what should happen in koi shows, is networking and talking to people and asking questions. Never feel stupid about asking questions, you know, at your level that you don't understand. That's absolutely fine, because anybody that doesn't talk to you and doesn't answer you shouldn't really be in the hobby, because we should be trying to get loads of people into the hobby and showing. I think that's really cool, right? Because it's really satisfying to transport fish and have other people admire them. It's really nice, okay? So anyway, you go to bed on Friday, you wake up Saturday morning, day of the show. So you get there, again, you got fish in the show, so you get in before everyone else. Just buzzing. You see everyone all coming in their cars, everyone's all queued up, but you are special because you have entered the koi show. So what you do is have a walk around, networking again. Might have a bad head, get yourself a burger. Hopefully Liam is there, snout-nosed trotters, right? And get yourself a burger, it'd be amazing. And then have a look at your fish. By this point, your fish will tell you if they like the water, if they don't like the water. If they're not performing, they probably don't like the water. And to be honest, they probably won't like the water because it's not their water and they're not used to it. But don't worry about it, because there's fish doctors there. And the BKKS, I told you, are experts in water. So if there is a problem, that will be sorted. So anyway, on the Saturday, you walk around, have a look at the vendors, loads of vendors, absolutely fantastic. Have a burger, have a pint if you've got a duty driver. If you haven't, have a coffee. Then what you will see is the judges going around each vat with clipboards, normally a little gaggle of them, right? And they'll be judging fish. Now trust me, these judges have got a hard job, because absolutely cream of the creme fish go there, okay? And some of them are very close to judge, okay? And there is a lot of fish there. Let's just put it this way, there's 60 vats I think there, 55 to 60 vats. In my vat alone, I've got 16 fish, all right? That's being quite greedy, because there is 16 fish in there, okay? Because I've got quite a few smaller tozai, which I really like, and I've got some bigger fish, okay? So they've got 16 fish to judge, right? And what happens is they judge all the bats, and they come down to a short list of potential 1, 2, 3s, and then GCs and baby champions, mature champions, jumbo champions, whatever other category there is, right? Best doits, best ginnerin, best fish with legs, I don't know, right? So what happens then is you will see them halfway through the day, more of them come into possibly your vat, right? Or to another vat. And what they're doing is they're trying to place these fish, because maybe there's 2 kawaku in size 3 that are scoring heavily and they're pretty even. But what they want to do is they want to make sure that the right fish wins the right award, right? And they're non-biased, they are literally looking at fish. I know these people, right? There's no bias at all in these shows, and that's a beauty thing. You don't win money. It's nothing about money. It's about pride, it's about enjoying the actual day. So what they'll do is, if 2 fish are scoring about the same, they'll just glance an eye over each vat again, and they'll all come to the correct decision, and they'll go, right, that one. But it's secret. No one knows on Saturday. Not even anyone knows on Saturday. It's kept. It's like literally secret. So what happens then is you go out again on Saturday and you meet with people and you talk about all the fish in the vat, and now you're really excited, but you're also a little bit nervous because you think to yourself, I look like a bit of a fool if I haven't won anything. But you're not going to be a fool if you don't win anything, because do you know what? You are in the arena, and if you don't win nothing, you should still be proud of yourself, because you've transported those fish there and you've done everything you can. So no one can slag you off at all, because you are the man in the arena holding the sword, right? Fighting for Caesar, okay? If you lose, you just get your head cut off, but you shouldn't feel ashamed, because it is what it is. You don't know what fish are going to go there. You might think that you stand the best chance in the world, but you should never assume that you're going to win anything. And if you do win something, then you are absolutely chuffed. And if you don't win anything, then it ain't as bad as it was if you think you're going to win something. Does that make sense to you? So anyway, what we do then is, on the Saturday, we network. We go to sleep. We wake up on the Sunday. Probably got a bad head. Have a burger. If you've got a duty driver, then you can get there early. If you haven't, you've got to wait till you sober up and then drive there. But when you get in on the Sunday, this is the real nerve-wracking moment. And this is where you've got to try to keep a straight face, okay? And it's, my heart's pounding right now. It is literally jumping out of my chest, because I've done this twice now. So I've been to 2 shows, and I've had to walk in to my vat, okay? Try to be humble and try to be, I don't know, like, just don't expect anything. Just do not expect anything, and don't think anything is going to be granted, because it's just nerve-wracking. You walk up to your vat, you look at your fish. By this point, your fish are really peed off. They're probably clamped. They're like that. They've had thousands of people knocking the vat, looking around. They've been looking up at people, drinking coffees. Do you know what I mean? They get annoyed. They're quite solitary animals. Even though they're pets, they're probably closer to a wild animal than they are a civilized pet like a cat or a dog, all right? So they get nervous, they get freaked out, and they're not very happy. They want to go home to the koi soldiers pond, right? But what you do is, then you have a little look up at your piece of paper with your online benched pictures. And hopefully, just hopefully, if you've done everything right, you've conditioned your fish, you've transported your fish, they're looking in mint condition, and you have the best fish there in that variety, in that size, in that class, you find little tiny stickers, little round stickers. Sometimes you'll have 2 or 3 stickers on one fish. So that means that it's one best in size, best in variety, but whatever. Okay, there's so many different awards that I didn't realize last year, that if you have a vat full of fish there, I would say you could feel confident you're going to come away with something, right? providing you're not entering Tamasaba, let's say, okay? So, but never think that you're going to win something, because life doesn't work that way. If you think you're going to win something, Sod's law is you won't win nothing, right? So you go there and you clench your eye out and you see stickers, and it's such a relief. You're like, oh, I don't look like an idiot. But you shouldn't feel like that. But that's an automatic feeling, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're showing something, you're bringing something that you're proud of, that you think is good enough to enter into a show. And when it doesn't do as good as you think it's going to do, you do get disheartened, but you shouldn't, because that should be a serious learning curve, that you've done something slightly wrong in the last season and you can rectify it for next season. So everything's a learning curve. Whether you've done something right and you've won something major, keep doing what you're doing, right? If you've done something wrong and something's not gone your way, then rectify. And the networking that you've done over this weekend should tell you what you've done wrong, because you're going to learn a lot, trust me. But anyway, let's go back to if you have won something. Best feeling in the world, trust me. You are on cloud 9 now. So what happens is you run around for the rest of the day, trying to keep humble, but feeling so proud of yourself, which is a sin, but you can't help it. You've got to drive home tonight, so you're not on the beer, you're drinking coffee. You get the shakes because you've drunk so much coffee, because you're so excited, and you're talking to other people, and you think to yourself, you know, you're talking and you're like, it's just brilliant, it's brilliant. And then you ask then, and then you can, then my advice is to approach some of the BKKS judges and ask their advice. Go, could you just come to my vat with me? I just want to have a little look. Why is that one and why isn't that one? And they will tell you. That's what they're there for, okay? And if you don't know what you've done wrong, then you can't rectify it for next year, can you? So you don't just have to ask the judges. You can ask other hobbyists. It's just worth getting advice. It's really good idea, because that's the last bit of advice really you're going to get in the show, because it's over for another year unless you go into another show. So what happens then? It's the award ceremony. Absolutely fantastic. You're in a little gaggle and you can see a wall, literally a wall full of awards and rosettes and little certificates, and you've got some of the head chair there from the BKKS, and you see all your friends standing around, right? And then one of them is going to be your name, and they call you up, they'll give you little rosettes, and if you're really lucky and you've won like in a major award, you get like a massive trophy. I don't know what you do with it, but it's huge. And they're all kind of plastic and wood, so it's not too bad. You can put them in your pump house, and if they get damp, it's not too bad. But the rosettes you've got to be careful with, because they can get soggy. They should make waterproof rosettes. Just chucking out their BKKS, but waterproof rosettes would be well accepted. But anyway, you go up, you collect your award, you even have a picture, right? With someone random, but you have a picture. Well, they're not random, they're someone important in BKKS. You should shake their hand and say thank you, see you next year. And then you've got to bag up your fish. So what happens then is, you've got to go back to your vat, and you've got to follow that procedure of bagging your fish at your pond, take it there. So you bag your fish, you have to take your oxygen with you, obviously. If you know someone there and you pre-arrange it, is, let's just say you know someone there, like a couple of really cool, handsome guys, maybe exclusively koi, I guess. Sometimes you can arrange to use their oxygen because they've got a massive bottle, and it saves you having to take your oxygen with you. So that could be done. It's always probably best to take your oxygen as well, in case they've had a real good sail on and sold loads of fish and got no oxygen left. You've got a backup in your truck. So I would suggest take your oxygen, because I'm going to take mine this year, okay? Bag up your fish, put them in your truck, and then what you do is you say thank you. You say thank you to everyone that's run that amazing show, mostly the BKKS and the National. You shake everyone's hand and you try to run around and say bye and thank you to every person that's helped you through the year. And then it's time to get in your truck. You get in your truck and you drive home. You float your fish, By now the pond is nice and warm, the temperature's going up for the fish, they go in, your auto feeder goes off just as they come in, they're happy, they're back on the munch, okay? Monitor your fish for the next 2 or 3 days. Shouldn't have any problems, because when they get back to your pond, they certainly ain't going to be sulking, because it's like going home after you've been to Butlins for a weekend, an adult weekend or something, right? You're not sleeping on those little scabies mattresses anymore. You're home. So, auto feeder, wait for the zoo. Oh, there they go. So, incoming. So, that is showing your koi in a nutshell, okay? And trust me, guys, any one of you can do it. And all of you should do it, because it's fun. And there was a time, apparently, not so long ago, where there was 2 or 3 koi shows on in the country every weekend. And that is fact. That's from talking to actual real veterans in the trade and veteran hobbyists, okay? And it's such a wonderful hobby. Yes, when it goes wrong, and it can be absolutely devastating, because it is, I've been there, I've had bacterial problems, and it is not a nice thing to do. But if you're keen on the hobby and you can keep a straight head, you can push through it and you can start again, okay? But when it goes well, and when you've built your pond properly and it's running like a Rolex, and you don't get any problems, and you're doing all your husbandry right, you're checking your koi, you're checking your water parameters, okay, it shouldn't go wrong. It should be plain sailing. But that just falls down to diligence, okay? So everyone's different, but it does fall down to diligence. A koi pond, realistically, isn't something that you can just build, fill up, run and leave. It is a lifestyle. Even going on holiday for a week, a koi pond can make it stressful unless you know that it stood the test of time and it's never broken down, so why should it break down next week? Do you know what I mean? So please, guys, enter a koi show next year, because then there'll be more koi shows and there'll be more the year after, and it is not rocket science. If this mug can do it, you can do it. Remember, if Yen can cook, you can too. This is the truth. And you do not need expensive koi to do this. There's 2 ways to grow in koi. There's 2 ways to have koi that can seriously compete in shows. And one is growing them. And trust me, I've got Tozai in there that I've paid, which is the cheapest one that I'm bringing to the show in value. I'm definitely taking 3 that has cost me under £100. And I've got 1 koi in there that's cost me £15, but it would have been in size 4. So size 4 is 45 to 55 cm, because it's 52 cm, but it's not coming to this show. I'm keeping it for the Newark show, because obviously I want to rotate some of the koi. So you really don't have to spend a lot of money. Now, on the flip side, if you want to spend some serious money, you can go and see one of my friends from probably Exclusively Koi, or anywhere. You can go to any dealership and say, I want to seriously compete next year. I've got 100 grand. Fill up a vat for me. You can do that. But I suggest you do it my way, because it's more fun. You grow them and they win. And it's more satisfying. That's the proper way to do it. Husbandry wins every single time over a wallet. I'd rather a fat wallet. But anyway, I'm not rich enough to spend tens of thousands of pounds on my koi. So I've got to grow my koi to be worth tens of thousands of pounds. And you can do it. An acorn grows into a tree. So do these, especially on Saki Kari. So anyway, guys, I hope you've liked this. And I'm buzzing for the koi show next week. I hope to see everyone over there. Please, everyone, come and say hello to me. If I see I need to go to the toilet, I need to go to the toilet, because last year it took me about 20 minutes to go for a pee, and in the end I needed a poo, so that's how long it was. But anyway, come and say hello to me. I'll be hanging around everywhere, I guess, just walking around saying hello to everyone, because I love going on the march. I have got mugs. I'm getting mugs made if you want them. And there is going to be a gold mug available on the Saturday and a gold mug available on the Sunday. If you get it, there's a little prize. If you don't, then you've still got a lovely black mug this time. So we've got, instead of the white Koi Soldier mugs, we've got black Koi Soldier mugs. So if you want to carry on your Koi, so actually there's 2 gold mugs being actually won. So if you've got a white mug and you've won a gold mug, then you should get a black mug, because you've got a cool little collection on the go. Anyway, until now, I'll see you next week. Enjoy. And everyone that's entering the Koi show, who's watching this, good luck. And I hope everyone gets their Koi there in one piece with no split fins or thrown scales. And I want to say hello to everyone next week. I've said that too many times now. I'm too nice. See you in the show, guys.